Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 140 of the Top Loader podcast. And before we introduce our very special guest today, which I think is going to be a fantastic episode, first of all, massive thanks to the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loader podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card sounds, great fabrication, whatever it may be, head over to their website even, look at their Instagram, link in the bio, use TTP10 for checkout, and obviously introducing our guest who's on behalf. It's like a multi-layered one, this one, but obviously our good friend Space, obviously everyone knows by Will, on behalf of Tag and his affiliate for the UK. But first of all, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, no, can't complain at all. Like I say, we had a brief discussion at the London Card Show, and I was going to say it's such a good thing to have people on. And so, first of all, before we get into the actual grading and everything like that, so what is your role now to do with Tag for people who might not necessarily know?
Sure, yeah. So I run GradeWithTag, which is the UK affiliate for Tag.
Hmm.
So it's basically sort of heading up the UK orders, and like people can send their cards to our little office, and we process them all and get them full graded with Tag. So
I was going to say already straight away off the bat. Saying UK office is just it is nice to hear.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So obviously in comparison to other companies, but it makes it so much more streamlined that you've got that option within the UK. You don't have to worry about custom charges. They've even increased postage as well, which
Yeah.
by the week it seems to be getting more expensive. So that having that aspect of UK is massive, don't you think? For not just the UK, but actually the hobby quite worldwide as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you were like to send to any grading company yourself, like there's lots of like risks and costs involved. And that's obviously why using someone who like is affiliated with them is such a good thing. I mean, we have like expedited turnaround. Like we're partnered with FedEx, and like there's sort of lots of reasons to go through someone. And like the main one is just like mitigate risk because if you lose something, then what actually happens? So
Yeah, that's a perfect. It's perfectly put, and especially having the comfort knowing that I can just send it into the UK rather than worrying
yeah,
about the overseas, and it's just it gets complicated. But for people who don't know, and especially some people might only be used to some of the other grading companies, Tag is a very unique slash very advanced technology wise. So, what just for a brief like outline for people about Tag's actual grading system because it is quite different to what other some people's do. Or but I think also it's the same, but just actually more advanced as well in the same way.
yeah. No, I would definitely agree. When you look at like standard grading companies, whether that's in the UK or in the US, they will basically look at the cards, and it'll be sort of like a bit like a conveyor belt
Mm.
where one person will look at it, give it like an initial grade, and then someone else will have a look at it and basically confirm what grade it is on their grading scale. Where Tag is a little bit different is it uses machine learning to sort of identify any issues or dings, like whitening or anything on the card. And then it's basically given like one final check from a human to give it like the score. So it's just a lot more efficient, and it's a lot quicker than basically having one person look at it, and then another person look at it, and then like encapsulated.
Mm.
It's more like I'd say it's like a conveyor belt sort of style, where the card comes in and then in a few minutes it's all done and ready to be encapsulated, which is like a big USP for Tag.
I was going to say it's massive. Just going to what you say there, having that machine learning aspect to it, it does. What I like about it is with other companies, it could be a case of your card could be the last they see in the day, it could be the first they see in the day, and it really affect what their grade is. So, what would you say is another big pro of having that machine learning, which takes the aspect of human error slash other extenuating factors?
Exactly that. Like there's many a times where you'll send with a different grader, and like there's no idea why a certain card got a certain grade. And the whole point of grading is to evaluate the condition of the card. And if you can't be sort of 100% accurate, then you're just basically sending it sending it in to be like put in a bit of plastic. Like you want to be sort of certain to a certain extent that this got a 10, a 9, or whatever. And like you said, like there's I'm sure there's examples where a grade is just not in the best mood or something, and it's just perfect, like purposefully given like 7 or 8 just for the sake of it. And
Yeah.
that's obviously what we want.
I was going to say, just touching on that, because I've got a few cards to my side here, which I can't tell with my eye why it's a different grade. So, what has Tag put in place that actually I can go, oh, this is why it got an 8 or a 9.5.
I think the best way to sort of explain that is using the pop report,
Mm.
and each card will get its own digital report, which will show you the centering, if there's any errors or dings or like marks on the card, and it will basically give you like I mean, it's an incredible amount of detail, which you can scroll down and see, and it gives you like peace of mind that you know, okay, this was actually a 9, or this was an 8, or great, this is a 10. There's no flaws, and like that's the biggest part of tag, and why it's going to be sort of the biggest, the market leader, in my opinion.
I was going to say, another thing I like to dissect from that pop report is the centering. And it actually gives you the measurement. So you can actually see how it was off center, where it was off center, and down to the I don't even know what measurement it is because it's so fine to the actual pixel.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like it's really, really good to see, like if you see a card which is like off center, it will basically explain or show why it got a 9 on like what basis and how much centering actually plays a part.
Yeah, I was going to say because we're told obviously with certain other companies what percentage it is, or you kind of guess. All right, it's got a small scratch, or is it a scratch? Is it a print mark? But with these pop reports, it will circle up, put a little green box around it, and actually tells you what it is. So I can then pick up said card and look at it. So as well with that one, do you think it improves the user's knowledge as well of actually being able to identify these issues?
100%. Like if you send a card and you're basically like, this is perfect, and then it comes back as 6.
Mm.
Some people just sort of they'll like be like, why is this, and just get frustrated. But at least with tag, you can search up using the pop report and actually see why, um, and then maybe it like clears some of your frustration because you're like, okay, I didn't see that, or like it's got a crease and no one would have like seen that. Um, so yeah, that's like a big part of why I think like transparency is so key.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I want to echo a lot for the podcast is tags. One of the main thing is transparency, and it shouldn't be blurred lines between user and grader to user, but it should be an experience that goes hand in hand to create the best aspect for the hobby, for you then potentially flipping your card, keeping your card. It just to me it seems like such an obvious thing which is just not readily available anywhere else.
I mean, it adds so much value as well. So with this pop report, if you do get a tan, like you know that it's basically in gem mint
Mm,
condition, and that's obviously why in the US, especially like some of the tag sales are even outselling PSA,
mm.
which is something which is like great to basically see that someone's like competing. And yeah, that's why like when you get a 10 with tag, you're like, wow, okay, this is really, really strong.
Yeah, I was going to say technology has advanced a lot. In not even we're not even talking last 60, 70 years, but the last 2, 3 years. That how it's like how we can say now of one person looks at it, second person looks at it, potentially a third person looks at it. Someone's eyes might not be as good or whatever it may be, but surely now with anything in life, any business, technology is key to taking it forward. So it seems simple, but surely it's got to be one of them that other companies will now look at it and it will become a norm within that industry because use technology to its advantage.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's really good that Tag have patented their technology,
Mm,
so no one's just going to be able to go and take it. And I'm sure that there are companies which are going to go and sort of implement something similar to what
mm.
Tag have done. But I doubt it will be as detailed or as clear, which is obviously the main like USP for Tag. And that's why I always say to like people at these shows just to send in a few cards
Mm.
and sort of see how you feel. Because I think that the best thing about doing this is actually showing people and like sort of not converting people. That's not what we're here to do. It's just
Mm.
basically giving them like a way to see something, which is actually like competing basically. Because
Yeah,
we're
I
we're not
think
trying to we're not trying to disrupt or like just come in and bully our way in. We want to basically build this nice and like authentically, basically.
yeah, I think that's one thing I took from the London Card Show. If you're stand there, was picking the slab up in hand for the first time, and obviously moving on to the slabs now. They are very high quality. You got the UV protection as well, but it just feels right. I don't know. It might sound weird, but it just feels right in your hand. The actual slab, like you can feel the quality, and it don't feel like it's gonna. If you drop it, it could just snap like some other ones. But the actual slab itself shows the card off, and that's what I take from the clear label of. What it shouldn't be looking at a label, you should be looking at the card, then whatever it is on top.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, imagine if you sent in one of your favorite cards and it came back a six. You'd be looking at the six before you're looking at the card. And that's why I always say, like, even a tag three or four, it still looks great because you're looking at the card.
Mm.
And that's what collecting is all about. It's not just about this big label at the top of it that's called colorful because you're then basically paying for the label and not actually the card, which sort of defeats the purpose of the hobby.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. One of them, you look at it, you go straight away. You should be, oh, it's such a nice card. Oh, that's what it got. Um, that's obviously what we've seen quite a lot. But for obviously some people might ask what cards are accepted slash not accepted because obviously tag's still in the learning process at the moment. So is there anything they can and obviously don't accept at the same time?
Yeah. So we basically say that anything obsidian or thicker can't be accepted.
Mm.
Not yet. That's something which is hopefully going to come in the near future. But it's mainly just standard size cards. Like our main business is Pokemon,
Mm.
like Topps Chrome, like One Piece. All of those sort of cards, they basically fit perfectly. Um, it's sort of 35 point is the
Yeah.
sweet spot. But cards like Obsidian, like patch cards, they're obviously slightly too thick, so that we don't grade those yet. And cards which are not standard size, so like Yu-Gi-Oh,
Mm.
that's something which is coming hopefully really soon. Um, but yeah, all the standard sizes like the Topps Chrome, even autographs, we do autographs like if they're pack pulled, which look really good. Um, so yeah, all of those we do.
I was going to say I was looking briefly on like your website, and you had a few demonstration pictures of cards, and I think there was an Alex Albon, I think it was autograph card, and I know we've said it already, but it just looked so clean. Like some slabs I've had in the past from different companies, like when they're in the right lighting, they kind of reflect it quite a lot, but it didn't take away from the card. And I feel like that's the perfect thing for a company of you. This is a card. Now it's getting protected, not you've got a slab and your card goes inside of it.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. Like the card should come first, and then it should be
Mm.
the slab afterwards. So and at the end of the day, it's sort of what people prefer. We just want to show that we have these are an option, and these are like once you see them in hand, we've had people that are going to go and grade with like PSA, and then come back to our stand, and you're like, actually, I want to go with you guys. So that's sort of the best feeling is like we can say whatever, but then it's really coming up to the shows and sort of seeing them in hand, and then you'll be like, okay, this is really something.
As I say as well, we've got quite a lot of followers of this podcast who grade vintage, and obviously they would want me to ask the question. I know what the answer is, but what years do you accept from? Because with obviously with PSA, they deem modern as 1980. So is it a similar one for tag?
I think at the moment it is just modern. So it's
Yeah,
basic. I think it's anything from like 1975, I think. But all of the sort of the old like Merlin stickers, that's not something which we grade. Like stickers itself, because it's obviously not standard card
mm,
size, is something which is coming in the future. So so yeah, it's mostly our focus is modern. But again, like the sort of the David Beckham Merlin cards, those would go in. I've had like a few of the Ronaldo mega cracks from like 2003, those sort of stuff. They look amazing. So all of that sort of stuff. But if you're going like super vintage, like
mm.
1912 or whatever, those ones probably wouldn't fit.
Yeah, and obviously, the turnaround is quite a big aspect for some people. Obviously, once received at Tag HQ where they're getting graded, what is the kind of rough business days turnaround?
It's 10 days. So yeah, that's 10 business days is where we're at. We had some last month which were like 8 days, which is
Mm.
like really quick. So so yeah, and then everything when it comes back to our office, everything goes special delivery. So you get it next day.
So, if some people are out there thinking about trying Tag out, obviously with your website, but what kind of prices are they looking to get an item graded?
Sure, sure. Yeah. So our standard pricing is 14.99 a card, no upcharges, no additional costs on any of the grading. It's like if you do bulk submissions, we have a program where if you submit more than 50 cards, you obviously get like a bulk discount
Mm.
basically. And then if you're sort of submitting like hundreds of cards, then you get an additional discount. Um, Shipping is always £8, and this is the thing which is like I just keep shipping at £8. Everything goes special delivery.
Mm.
So I had one parcel which was like £21 for a customer, but we just charge £8 flat basically, just because I mean it makes it easier. Or if you're close to Southampton, like I can drop it off, or you can come and collect it, whatever's easier. But yeah, we don't we I think upcharges are I don't agree with them. I
Mm.
think they're just another way that company can make extra money, basically. Um, like, yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Like, because then they could just give you which is a benefit for you, obviously, if you get a better grade. But like, if PSA deems something is worth more, then they're just going to charge you like $50 more for that card, and you're like, well, I didn't really want to pay that. Um, Especially if it's like your personal collection. Like imagine if you send like an expensive card and then they give you a bill for like, I don't know, a few $100 and you're like, well, I wasn't going to sell it anyway. So now I've got to pay this for the same card.
And I was going to say that leads perfectly into my next question. Obviously, just talking about the upcharge of it, kind of relate. I can see the upcharge and the grading together. Of it, they say they look at comps, but I've we've seen it. I've had personal experience of it where there's not really a comp on it, but they upcharge. But it's one of them. It's just all subjective to the person. Like if the person who opens a card is a Lamine Yamal fan, he might value it higher. Or if he's a Real Madrid fan, he might go, actually, no, I prefer the Vinicius card. So it sounds so good to have it that right, 14.99 is done. No hidden things. It's just lovely to hear that you don't have to worry. It's like when it pops, oh, by the way, you have to sort this payment first. It's like,
That's always annoyed me a little bit, but yeah, I like to keep it simple, and that's sort of like that's how tag do it best when it comes to like no up charges. And we've had like even at London Card Show, we had a few submissions which were like 6,000, like the Poncho Pikachu's. I don't know if you're familiar with
mm.
those, but they're like insanely expensive, like thousands per card. And we had like a few of those in, and yeah, it was just 14.99. So.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So for obviously anyone who's listening along, they want to see the product or even have any questions, is there anywhere in particular you would send them towards?
I would send them directly to the website, gradewithtag.co.uk or gradewithtag.com. And you can sort of see, like, if you go onto the website, there's a video which shows you a bit about the process, like when we grade one of the Illustrator ones in the US. Um, and another great way is obviously to go to shows. I don't know what shows you're going to, um, like in the next like few weeks or months. But we aim to be at like 2 or 3 shows per month. And you can go there, basically have a look, and obviously submit cards. But it's like once you have them in your hand, then you become like a convert. You're like, okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, you definitely sold the product very well to me at London Card. Yeah, I actually don't even think you had to sell the product. Yeah, I literally just see the card and I was like, oh, that's quite nice. And then I picked it up and was like, oh, yeah, I could definitely see a few cards in that. And my main one as well, because people might question, I know we said it earlier that some of the tag 10s actually do very well money wise in comparison to PSA, but as well, people some go, oh, I don't really want to send my PC card off. But these look great. You can know that it's going to be protected as well. That it seems a bit of a no-brainer, so to speak, to get a PC. And for people, think send one off, see how it comes back.
I 100% agree. It's like when you come to your PC, I think slabbed cards do look like
Mm,
nice on display.
yeah.
I know there's lots of people have them in like binders and then they can flick through. But like I don't know if it's just because I've been doing this for like so long, but like I have become converted to a slab card just looks nice
Mm,
to display, and like you can have it in like just sort of the cases where you can like flick through and see your PC. I do sort of like the fact that it's like encapsulated. But yeah, I mean, there's some people in the US which are like cracking their whole PSA collection and like sending it directly to Tag, which
mm,
is like that's that like I don't know if there's any other companies where people are doing that, like going from the market leader, which is obviously PSA when it comes to sales and whatever, cracking and then sending all their cards to Tag,
yeah.
which is like it's like great to see that someone is actually coming for the title, basically.
As I say, it's a true testament to what Tag are doing and how the uh, public perception is changing as well. And I think that's something that we've learned over a period of time. But another question, obviously, if someone's going to send off a card or bundle cards to you, any recommendations of how it should be like packaged up for them, just so it makes it obviously easier for you as well?
Sleeves and semi-rigids, please. I'm begging. Not like top loaders. They're great, but
Yeah.
semi-rigids are just so much easier to like take out. Top loaders are a bit finicky, and I've got to be like really careful as well. So usually what I do is I leave them in the top loaders, so I don't actually touch the customer cards.
Mm.
I just like seal them up, and send them off. But if people can send them in semi-rigids and sleeves, that's like the dream, basically. When you get one of those orders, you're like, oh thank God.
I was going to say, I definitely recommend that as well from perspective. But obviously, if anyone's going to get something graded, obviously we'd love to see it as well. I'm going to definitely get some bits graded. But is there anything that you've had come through so far that you've kind of either double looked at it and been like, "Oh, that's really nice," or even something different? Because sometimes you see a card which is completely different, and you're like, "Oh, that's quite nice."
Yeah. I do think the I know I mentioned it before, but the poncho Pikachus,
Mm,
because like you see them online all the time, and you're like, these look like so cool, and then to see them in person, is like just is really cool to see. I think Pokemon has really grown on me like a lot since doing this.
mm,
It's just because Pokemon is such a big market in the UK. You sort of like have to adapt. So obviously, I did so much sports that I'm now sort of balancing the two.
mm.
So yeah, it's like it's nice to see all these Pokemon cards come in because I've never seen them before. I don't know if you've collected or collect Pokemon now, but
I don't at the moment, but I've learned now a lot more about it. And once you learn more about it and appreciate the artwork, it's hard not to get involved in it. But still at the moment, I'm taking that backward step and just appreciating the artwork, and that's what I normally do at like the card shows I go to.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think it's a completely different world. Like in the
Mm,
UK specifically, Pokemon cards sell for more than in the US, which is
mm.
just like nuts. Where if it's sports, cards always usually sell for more in the US than the UK. But here it's just people will pay more, which is, I mean, it's great. And like it's great to see so many like different people with their collections and everything. I don't know about you, but I feel like sports is it's like the market in the UK is changing quite a lot.
Mm.
Like when it comes to our submissions, like I'm seeing less and less people submit sports, and even people who do sports mainly, they're just sending Pokemon in because it's I'm guessing easier to sell. But I don't know how you're sort of finding the sports market.
Y- Yeah, I was going to say the sports market is very interesting at the moment. I think that's the best way to put it. It's we've always had that collector side of it, but for me, I think it's predominantly the collector side of it. Now you can't really flip it as much. You've not really got the prospecting as much as what you have in other industries. But the Pokemon one, when I was comparing it to the London card, it was crazy. It was like one card. Someone could put a card out, and there'd be four people trying to get that card within a minute. I was just, it seems like such a in demand product. Whereas sports, I feel like you could put a card out on a table and potentially it wouldn't even get picked up during a whole day. Whereas if you put a certain Pokemon card out, you probably near enough guaranteed it's going to sell, if not have a considerable amount of interest in it.
Yeah, yeah. I 100% agree. I think it comes down to Topps are making too many products,
Mm,
and like people just they can't buy every single set.
yeah.
And if you're making a set a week, you're like it's just watering down the good sets. Like I think Yamal has like I don't know 500 different rookie cards or something. It's just it's I know that it's been said every year like oh they're making too much products, but it's got to the point now where you're like
Oh,
I just don't care.
yeah. Yeah. And you can see this when they actually do bring out a good release. For example, the latest Women's Sapphire is a fantastic release. It's very short print, and that's all what people ask for. Cases in the probably about 300 area, not 30,000, 300. And when you think about that, it's quite crazy. And you see it now with Chromes. The who base card is 399 is a base card, so people are not really buying it. So realistically, people go, I only want gold or less, so 50 or less. So you have probably 80% of the world's stock of boxes and cases that are just there. Not people don't really want them. So and then you hit the big cards, and a lot of them are just go for nothing because people have already given up on the set.
And it's also like the players as well. Like
Hmm.
I feel like there's only a few players which you'll actually like profit from. Like if you buy a box for like 400 and get it to five, like Yamal or something that obviously or like Ronaldo Messi, but
Yeah.
even like it to five Haaland, you'd think, oh, it's an amazing pull. But because there's so many sets and so many Haaland to
Mm.
fives, uh, it'd be like £100.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, that doesn't pay for close to the box. Like it's I just don't know why they're making so much stuff. They should have two or three big releases every year so people can get excited for them. Um, and then like that card is really like a big deal.
Hmm.
Um, and not just all this other stuff.
Uh, Yeah, I think there's not going to be one person who disagrees with you at all. I'd like to say today they announced the top India set. Fair enough, you bring it to a new audience, but it's a paper set, which is not really different to the set in Japan, Brazil. The created sets is what come out in the UK, US, and you're like, everyone's kind of. I've literally read the comments straight away, it's like, oh, another set. That's what it comes down to.
As well when like there's a release it's just I remember like the golden era like a couple of years ago we'd get like excited to like the tops drops and now it's just
Mm,
like can I make money on this if I buy it and sell it like sealed and you're like okay yeah fine I'll go for it but if not
mm.
like
As I say, I remember a good 5 years ago when a Chronicles come out. The hype for like the week coming up to it is like, oh, release, 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 release. Now you could, I think I can't remember what release it was last week. I think it might have even been Obsidian. And I was like, oh, Obsidian's out. It's got to a point now. That's why people like these other sets, and people start talking about the PDC set or when they've done Team GB set or whatever it is, because it's just different, and you want that unique selling point.
The thing, like, if they're now putting like Ronaldo and Messi in their like normal jersey, like the Real Madrid and Barcelona. How many? If that's going to be for the next 10 years,
Hmm.
there's going to be like hundreds and hundreds of one of ones. Like, there's only one World Cup one of one, which is
Yeah,
this why 2014 and 2018 like Prism is, I think, like really iconic
mm,
sets, and they will be. But all of these new superfractors and everything, like a superfractal auto is the hit of the year, but then it's going to be the same next year. It's just
yeah,
going to be a different image, and that's why like Pokemon is just so insane because I don't know if you're seeing at the moment, but like the Pokemon 151 set,
yeah,
people are literally like fighting over like packs in Costco. Like it's like insane. That's 2024, and there's so much. They made so many packs, like
yeah,
hundreds and hundreds of probably millions of packs. And it's not short print at all. There's tons out there,
yeah,
but they're just really difficult to like find because everyone wants them. The
mm,
demand is over the supply,
yeah,
which isn't the case um for sports.
yeah. Completing that flip, you can probably go on to Panini or Topps website a week after release, and it's just still just sitting there. Or even you get the distros that are probably offering it at 80% of the retail price just to try and clear it out. So obviously we know there's a problem, but hopefully someone comes along and saves the day. Will they? Don't know, because they seem to be making a lot of money off of it. So hopefully all these collectors.
The releases,
Yeah,
like no one, like I know that breakers want to break a new product, but like there's not going to be any buyers. Like there's if you just like have all these sets and everything, like just slow down and
yeah,
then just build like it like naturally and just organically. That's just the best way to do it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so so yeah,
yeah.
but I still love the hobby. I mean, it's still like great fun and like meeting people and like obviously like collecting is a big part of it, and
Mm.
it's like it takes you away from the stress of like the real world. So it's I completely understand why people like enjoy it. So
Oh
it's
yeah, it's a great escape. I was going to say that perfectly along one of my last questions of anything that you're particularly picking up recently. Obviously, said about potentially getting into the world of Pokemon. Obviously, I think I did see one of your last PSA cards get listed up on your story recently. So, anything you've picked up recently quite cool, or is it a case of just going under the radar, just having to pick a bit nice thing here and there, and just kind of just floating along like I started to do a lot of time. Collect.
Um, yeah, I mean, I pick up quite a lot of shows now, and all the stuff that I pick up is being graded, like obviously with tag.
Mm.
So I've got like a few bits coming back, and I got like a really nice like shipment back, and I had lots of like variation Messies, and like I had a 2019 Shearer, um, Shearer and Michael Owen auto from the
Ooh,
first year of Prism.
fair enough.
And it's like it's not a refractor or anything, but it's numbered to 15,
Mm.
and it's like I've never seen another parallel for it,
Yeah,
which is like really cool. And that came back a 10 as well, which was like awesome. So if there's any Newcastle fans that want that, just drop me a message because I don't know, I have no idea how much that's worth. I forgot that Michael Owen played for Newcastle because he
mm.
like team hopped. So
Yeah,
um, but other than that, it's just a lot of the new Pokemon stuff. I think that looks really cool, and again, I'm like converted. Um, I think I'm still looking for the Claude one of one, and
mm.
I know that we spoke about it on the last
Yeah.
podcast, but it hasn't popped up. I know that the printing plate, so the Claude Topps Chrome printing plate went on eBay, and I was asleep, and
Oh,
it was $50.
oh,
Right. So me and Jim didn't realize because we were asleep and it was in the US. And some guy messaged me and was like, "Bro, this has just been listed." And I woke up in the morning and it was like 8 o'clock, and I was like, "Okay, look, like it was the first message that I saw, and I was
mm.
like, okay." So I went on there and it sold. So I messaged the guy, and every like couple of hours, I would increase my offer. And my final offer was $400 for the printing plate, which is like, yeah, is it's a lot of money for a printing plate.
Yeah.
But I just wanted it so bad, and the guy said no, which is like, I don't know, because he sold it for $50, and I'm like, I'll give you $400. But I guess
Yeah.
he's loyal to the customer, which I respect.
Yeah. Like I say, there's some, despite going against you, some good people still out there. So if you just close, I was going to say, just closing up, obviously, just reverting it all the way back around to tag. So, any like last comments you want to say for people who might be thinking about sending it off? Because no doubt the people listening to this look on the website, look on the Instagram page as well, and be like, actually, you know what? I'm going to give it a go.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely suggest going to the website gradewithtag.co.uk, and having a look. If you make an order, we will have a new promo code specifically for this podcast, and it will be valid for like 7 days. So 7 days from when this podcast goes up, if you use TTP10,
Oh,
you'll get 10% off your whole order, which is a really good discount when it comes to sort of grading cards. So we definitely want people to try it out. So have a look and send some cards. All the instructions are on the website, and it's, yeah, really really simple. So
great.
so yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it, and yeah, I'll need to get you some cards as well. So
I was going to say, I'd definitely recommend it. I've seen it in person. I've definitely recommend the product. And like I say, I'm getting some of my own PC stuff sent off as well. So it's not like I'm just here saying it. I'm actually getting to get my own stuff sent off. So please do use TTP10. Obviously, everyone's heard that code enough in their life already. Use that at checkout for 10% off, which is just a fantastic incentive. And like I said, I think hopefully we should get some really nice, interesting stuff. And I think I might have to send some women's stuff off as well, see what that can come back like in the text labs. But obviously, like, massive thank you, obviously, taking time out of your day to talk through everything with people. But like I say, you're always welcome back on. And no doubt, obviously, when the cards come back, obviously, I'll be showing them off in the podcast. So it'd be interesting to see what people think then as well. I would say a massive thank you, obviously, for Will, obviously, Space as well, for joining us to talk through everything Space. And obviously, a massive thanks as well to Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Load podcast. Whether you need supplies, custom card stands, whatever it may be, use TTP10 at tag and that Third Down to get 10% off your order. But until next time, hope everyone out there is staying well, doing safe, buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.
thank you.